let's get started. So this here file was actually a legal-sized folder because I didn't have any letter-size folders, but you can actually use both. It would just make the inside a little deeper this way, and you'll see what I mean. If you do want to cut one down, you can certainly do that, and you can use the extra piece for things to add inside your journal. So let's start with the cover. And what you want to consider when you are cutting it, if you decide to cut it, is if you decide to use copier paper or any paper at all, you want to consider the width here of that paper. This paper will end up being folded, and this will be one of your signatures. So you want to be able to have enough space to give it a little bit of a gap on both sides and be able to fold it up here. So when you're cutting it, just pull out the paper you'll be using, lie it in there, and then you'll be able to score it. I have actually went ahead and made some lines on here already. And how I measured it was from the edge of the actual tab, I measured 6 inches to this first line, and then another 1/4 inch. And then I measured from the last line there, and I went 6 inches and then a 1/4 inch this way, leaving, in this case, 5.5 inches on the end here. So I've already made my lines, and you'll be able to stop the video and catch up to me as I move along here. And I also created a, you'll see I've already scored right here. So I measured how wide my sheets were going to be, and then I made a line and scored it. I used this stylus to do it. You can use a bone folder. I've even used not the sharp side, but the opposite side to score before, but you have to be careful you don't rip your paper. So we'll start with this, and the easiest way I find is I take my steel ruler, flip it over, and I start to push it up against the score lines. And then we're going to flip it over. This will be the inside. Flip it over here. And I picked up some maps from AMA. I don't know if you're a member of AMA or if you've got some old maps hanging around, but I picked up some maps from AMA and already figured out what area I wanted to use. And I've already cut out this piece, which is going to get glued onto this as a cover. So it will end up looking like this once it's all glued. I usually glue it in sections, and I typically use a glue stick. You can use white glue, that is not a problem at all. You may want to spread it out with an old gift card or credit card that you don't use anymore, and do it in sections. The reason why I use a glue stick is because it isn't as wet and it doesn't wrinkle the paper nearly as bad as white glue. So I typically give it a really good coat because I want to be able to get a nice flat adhesion of my paper. And I usually go over those folds, and then I stop partway up there because you don't want your glue to dry up before you get a chance to apply your sheet. I use a card like this to push that down to give it a really nice flat professional look, I'll give you an example of what you can also do if you like an older, more antique look. I dyed some maps here, as you can see. It's quite a bit darker, just with coffee. And I just soak it and let it dry in the sun. And you end up with this. And believe it or not, you just iron it out with your iron. And you can create something that looks a little bit more grunge, a little bit more old. And this one here was made with a legal size folder, and you can see that it's a lot deeper. The reason why I did the folds prior to is because once you start adding more paper to it, it becomes even more harder to do those folds. So normally I would wait for this to dry. We're going to do some cutting. So I'm going to cut right along this first fold. Got glue on my fingers. On that first fold, I'll show you. I'm going to do a cut. I'm going to do a cut on the one here, and I'll show you what I've done. So I cut along the inside folds. I'm actually going to use an X-Acto blade. You can use your scissors. And I'm just going to cut from the first fold to the first fold on each side. Of course, be careful while using that. Now, don't throw this away. We'll be able to fold that over and make a nice pocket with that. And that's the same with these. With it longer like that, we're going to be able to, I'm going to trim this a little bit. As you can see, I'm going to do that. And we want to trim it. We want to cut it a little bit further because this is where it's going to be folding. So we want to do another fold. And I honestly, I don't do a lot of measuring in my books. I do a lot of eyeballing. I just have fun with it. I don't get too stressed out about and I'm just cutting here on that fold. I don't get too stressed out about being exact. I use this as a form of therapy for me, hence the wellness part of this symposium. Now, we're going to just trim. So to see what I'm doing here, so I went and eyeballed it and I made another fold there on both sides. So you can see that I had cut off the flap. Probably should have told you that before. So here you'll see this is like that. And you see this flap here? I ended up just slicing that off. So at the fold, I'm just cutting to the corner there. I'm just going to flip that over. We're going to make it angular. So maybe, and again, I guesstimate, let's do like an inch here and then an inch on that side. So I'll measure from this side and I'll just move my ruler to where I think it's going to look good. And then I cut I'm going to show you something that's kind of cool. I'm going to show you that you can make a little slot here. So if I measure right here, half an inch from this lip here, making my edge of my ruler perpendicular here. I think I broke my pencil. There we go. If I do that, and then I go over here, leaving my ruler perpendicular again, and I just grab that half an inch, lining it up with the cut, and I go like that. So I've got one here and one here. I can take my hole punch, and you can make this deeper in here. Essentially what we're doing is making a few holes here to make a slot. And so then we can take our X-Acto blade, and I will take my ruler and I'll line up the very top part of both of these. And I'll start in the hole, and oh, of course I wasn't holding it down hard enough. That's okay. There. That's one, and I'll do the other side. Like that. Didn't quite make it through there. There we go. If you have a bigger hole punch, you'll have a bigger slot. I wanted to show you a quick way that I cut things out. I use a metal ruler. So I actually want this section here. It says Las Vegas on it. And I plan on using this also in the folder that we're making currently. So it's easy here. I've got a nice blue line to follow, and I flip it over. You can use this to hold it down. That's what the cork is for, but I tend to flip it over so that I can get a more precise, and I just line it up and I rip it. You might, and if you like crisp lines and you like to cut, you can go ahead, but this, bar none, is the fastest and easiest way to cut something out. After tearing out this sheet, I have now glued it to the inside of the book, and you can see that I've covered most of that writing up here, and now I'm going to start to glue the pockets together. We've got quite a bit going on already. We don't have to embellish a whole lot, but I do have a few items that I've pulled from the pack that I basically included for you. Now know that this is for personal use. I literally just went on to, I'm just going on to a sheet here. I just went on to Pinterest and took some images off there. And when you're using it for personal use and you're not selling the item, there is no problem at all. You can just go ahead, and it's just a wealth of pictures on there. And so there you have it. You can definitely add to this. As you can see, I have already trimmed up the book. Didn't want to bore you with that. And next, we're going to put pages inside. Now let's talk about book pages. You don't need to have scrapbook paper to do this. That's why I said if you have some old magazines, Westworld, if you're part of AMA, this isn't even a travel magazine. I got it from BC Liquor when I was in BC. And what I've always loved is it's got great images and you're able to use those. Now this particular book, you can hear, is like a cardstock, and I've already ripped off the back cover. And it's here. This is the back cover. It's an alcohol ad. It's a BC Liquor Taste magazine. So that's what I've got. And I've just ripped out several pages out of here, looking at, you know, what's colorful, maybe following themes. For instance, I don't have a Vegas one right at the moment, you know, what to do in Vegas. But if I did, I'd use that instead. And you can pick stuff that goes with the theme of your book. So here I folded in half, and you can see quickly that the notepads that I had suggested you purchase, you probably have some around the house. This one actually tears off nice and straight. These tear off jagged. You can always slice them to different sizes if you choose. This is a long one. Here's a sketchbook, a small sketchbook. It has pages like this. And all you do, if you have no notebooks, you can always use loose leaf. You can use copier paper and cut it to size. I like the different textures and I like the ripped look. So here you can see quickly that actually gives quite a nice look. It gives you lots of writing space, and you can decorate the front how you choose with some of the things that I sent you, or ones that you print off yourself. You'll see that I included these. They're like tapes. And you can just cut those out and glue them. I have this piece on a double-sided tape. I stuck my double-sided tape right to the back, lined it up, stuck it to the back. And then what I do to give it that torn edge right there is I take my tape, I put my finger there and I tear it just like that. And look at that. It looks great. Let's see here if I can get you to see it there. So you can do that. And even this small edge here, you can just tear it off with your nail and use it. I'm going to flip through quickly to show you. I haven't glued anything down here. You can use paper clips like I have here to hold things in place. Brochures or anything too that you pick up. So if you have a few large paper clips that you want to bring along, you can do that. Here I've taken two relatively normal plain looking sheets of paper and I folded them. So I folded this one like that. And then I folded this one like this. And that gives, you glue on the edges of each side, on this side as well. And then you can stick it right on there. And with that blue edging, it looks beautiful. You can cover the writing with different stickers that you have, because obviously you don't want maybe the awards thing, so you put that there. You can really change it quickly with just a few supplies that you have. You don't have to go buy stuff. You can print a few things and use the paper. You want to have kind of a contrast, so you've got a lot of color going on here. And here's the white copier paper that I folded. And here is just a piece of paper. You might have a flyer that you want to that you want to keep, and and it looks really pretty on one side, you can always just fold it and create an envelope like this. So you just fold it like inside like that, and then trim the edges here, and there it is, and it looks beautiful on there. All you have to do is do that, maybe add another writing spot, date for the day that you pick this up, and any details on it perhaps. Here, I just took a piece of magazine, looked for a nice green color here to go with the green opposite. A Joy to Give, you can glue that on the edges here as a tuck spot. So you can tuck stuff in here just like this. This is a tag that I just made from a page that I just cut and went like this. You throw your piece of paper on there, you fold over the edges or you cut the edges, it doesn't really matter. However you want to do it, and there you've got a tag to stick in there. On this side, it's had quite a bit of color here, so I put a larger sheet, and then you can just embellish it with the date. You know, make your mark and maybe search and then write what you did that day. On this, I'll show you this one in a moment. Here, I just wanted to show you that you can use old envelopes. You can just cut them off, glue them on there. So if you cut it off, it would look like this, and it would become a tuck spot. Now this, you can literally take this and tuck it inside here. Probably have it too wide. Let's see. Make it a little bit narrower. Of course, I'd cut all this. You can tuck it inside here. Get rid of the color and make it match a little bit better. So of course it would look like that. And if you want to get rid of that guy there, you can always stick a piece of tape or one of these labels instead maybe. Or one of your round labels. That looks better. There you go, like that. We'll come back to this one here. On this side, I just want to show you that you can really just leave the page to show all the detail and color. It actually looks really interesting like that. All you have to do is do that, and you've got something that looks actually quite interesting. On this side, you just take a few embellishments, including the notepad, and you can cover up most of that. You just have to maybe drop that there. And again, use your labels to date what you did. So you can drop that there and that there like that. And you can leave some black, and it gives a beautiful edging. And you can have something that looks quite nice with little money and without running to the store. So this here is a 3 or 4 pocket if you want to have a fourth pocket. It's kind of thin though, so I would glue that whole back piece, and I'd glue it completely to there. You can have this here, and you can have this here. I just took this piece of paper, this notepad, and I covered it up because I didn't like how that was looking. So I just used it like that. And now you can do a little journaling on there and tuck things into these spots. And of course you would glue along here. I'm quickly just showing you, and you just put a date on there and it would be good to go. Now, how to make that? You take just a regular page out of any magazine and you fold it in half, and you hold it in half into 4 pieces. You open it up. You take this corner and you fold it to the crease. You fold this up flip it over, and you want to fold it to give it a bit of an edge there. You fold it in half, and then again, you would just fold this down so that it would match. And again, if you don't like what you see there, just cover it. Don't be afraid to just use that paper that you have. Don't be afraid to be inventive. And then once you tuck something in there, you probably won't even see that once it's in your book. And you can always decorate the page with anything like this. And there you have it. Those are some of the things that you can do in the pages. And stay tuned for a few more tricks. Okay, I've completed gluing in all my inserts that we went over earlier. And here they are. Know that I did put a lot of stuff in here to show you the tucks and pockets so that you can see what you can add to your journal. But know that you'll want to keep some space for your photos to go in. And using your white copier paper is great for leaving space, and you put your photo in for color, and then you can add a few embellishments with it after. I just wanted to show you here all the different things that you can do with just regular paper and magazine paper. Also, you're wondering probably how to fasten your book to your folder. And all I did here, I did a really easy one. I just used a large elastic on this one. Now you can use that. You can use your cord, your elastic cord, to do that. You can use an assortment of different yarns. It doesn't have to be really strong. String probably is too weak, but really it's not going to get a lot of pulling, so you should be able to use any of those things and it'll stay firmly in place. This is what you can also do. I small hole punched at the base here, and I just strung through the elastic cord and tied it in like that. You can also do the holes and put string in there if you want. That's an option as well. I also wanted to show you that these books can be used for many inserts. You can use different colored dye papers as an art journal, like this one here. You can add a notebook to it, like I picked up here from a dollar store. You can insert that in your elastic and you would have an instant notebook there. Here's another design. I just dyed this folder. It's just a letter size folder and it's cut just the way we did ours, and I added an extra little slip there. So I haven't decided what I want to do with this one yet, but it's just been dyed with coffee and ink and marked with different gears and such. I also wanted to show you, this is just a quick travel folder I did of 2 dyed envelopes I did. And the envelope flaps are just tucked into each other. And then I tied a couple pieces of paper inside, where you can see I printed out my pictures here on my photocopier and put them in on a trip that I did in November for our daughter's baby reveal. So that was a fun trip. Also want to show you that you can take just regular packaging. This is from Stickers. And I ended up putting just an old book page and a leaf in there because they have maple trees there in Vancouver, and stuck that in there. So you can definitely do any of that. And you can see I've tucked in my flight tickets and such. Also, you can consider doing a field notes maybe for your students, where you can take some legal size folders, cut them in half, fold one side over, and you've got an instant field notes folio where you can take some pages, throw them in there. I've got an assortment of different colors of pages. And also you can take 2 sandwich bags and tape them together with packing tape here. And you can stick different packages throughout so that they can collect different specimens and such. And you can tie them together depending on the binding you want to use. And you can use it for your kids. Easy project for them. You can use it to create a gift for someone. This is an Asian style folio. And when you open it, it's the same layout as what we created earlier. And I just printed off a notebook that you can purchase off of Etsy. And it's beautiful. It's an instant gift that somebody would absolutely love. And those are all of the books. And I did want to add that this is a great idea also to add to your travel book if you want to bring some extras with you. You just slide it in there, and then you'll have your stuff with you as you travel. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me.